You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your coach, Jason.
Your coach, Danny.
Fans, we got a full show for you today. First, we'll get into Formula One, NFL preseason, a little college football, Major League Baseball, something that Anthony Edwards said, and a very intriguing trading card scenario. But first, Danny, right into Formula One, and where this past Sunday, somebody else other than Red Bull won. Lando Norris from McLaren, he goes ahead, goes in pole position, and ultimately takes first in the Grand Prix. And Danny, let me just say that the championship race is on. 9 more races left. This is going to be a hotly contested finish, and I think McLaren can do it. I think they have the fastest car out there. There's been signs of cracking in Red Bull, not only from their car, but also I think even just from the team with all the issues, if you will, happening allegedly. McLaren has found the rhythm, they've found the rhyme, and they have found their place in second place. That being Lando Norris, and also in the Constructors' Cup. So this is going to be really, 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 really interesting just to kind of see what happens. Mercedes, they fell off here a little bit. George Russell comes in 7th. What say you about Formula One?
Jay, with this race, Norris actually had a bad start.
Terrible start.
Yes. So for him to battle back and win by more than 20 seconds was amazing, man. His skill level and the way he's just been, handling the car has been wild. And for, like I said, for him to, take the lead and win by that much with Verstappen coming in second was amazing. This was similar to the race he won earlier in the season, just the way he was the car was moving and just the way he was just navigating the track. So great win by him. Yeah, Mercedes. Russell was hanging around for a minute, and then he fell back. And then Lewis Hamilton just couldn't get it going this time around. So kind of lost a little of the mojo they had going into this race from a Mercedes standpoint. But there's still some time left here to make some noise. And, yeah, Red Bull – I hate to say this every time we talk about Formula One, but it's good that there's contention, there's competition for Red Bull, because at the beginning of the season, it didn't look like that. So if Norris keeps running the way he is, man, watch out.
And just so everyone knows, there's a 70-point gap right now between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. Again, 9 races left with the Italy Grand Prix upcoming here. Charles Leclerc is in 3rd, but I mean, you look at the difference between Leclerc and Piastri at number 4, you're only talking about a 13-point difference, man, between 3rd and 4th place. And then even so, between 4th and 5th place, you're only talking about 7 points. So all in all, man, this is close. The Constructors' Cup, I mean, you also have to think about that. I mean, we're only 30 points separating Red Bull and McLaren, 34 points separating McLaren and Ferrari, 96 points separating Ferrari from Mercedes. So this is not over. And when we're talking about the Constructors' Cup, man, we're talking about multi-millions of dollars going into the team, being divvied up between the teams. So this is a lot of money, and Formula One is only going to get better. It's only going to get more exposure, especially with Brad Pitt's movie coming out, Formula One, F1 in 2025, in June 2025. I'm excited about these final 9 races, Danny. And now a little bit into college football, where my Florida A&M Rattlers pulled it out by 1 point, 24-23 against Norfolk State. Boy, was I throwing things at the TV, yelling at the screen, doing everything. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? But a win is a win, and we'll take it. And it didn't start off good, Danny. It did not start off good at all. Let me just say that it was a 24-23 victory, but boy, we were down 14-0 quick, fast, and in a hurry, especially in the first quarter. When in the first quarter, I mean, Norfolk State had over 100 yards on us rushing. And so I was like, what in the world is happening? And then we pulled it out. I will say this was the SWAC MEAC challenge, and it did not disappoint. It didn't disappoint because, one, it was on a Saturday night on ABC.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a huge piece of exposure for HBCU fans and fans of college football. And let me just say, over 1 million views, over 1 million eyeballs were watching this game, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It is huge. So for those who say that HBCU football is dead, that's no good, well, viewership tells otherwise. The pageantry says otherwise. So I'm so thankful that we pulled this win out, but I think it was a win more so for HBCU football and HBCUs. The display that was put on for Norfolk State, where they were able to promote their school, same thing with Florida A&M University, I think speaks volumes. And in this day and age, and where HBCUs are really being highlighted, and enrollment is skyrocketing, admission rates are skyrocketing, man, this adds to it. So kudos to both Norfolk State and Florida A&M University for putting it on a show. And man, I think this was a win for HBCU football. What say you, Danny, about this game?
Well, Jay, I don't know what Norfolk State was doing in the second half, man, but they went away from the game plan. They let y'all back in the game, and y'all took full advantage. Richardson got it going. 2 touchdowns. Jamari Gassett, great game, man. I was gonna text you, but I'm like, no, let me leave Jay alone. I know he's stressing over there. It was a good game, man. It was all the way through the end. So it was good to see just what the plan was from Florida A&M's perspective and how they made adjustments, because they could have just folded the way they were getting destroyed in that first half. So it was great to see Coach get his first win. It's like those first game jitters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got out the way, and the second half, they play like the second half going forward. I think they'll be in good shape. It's the first game of the season, so you got to give them some grace there. Ask Florida State. They took that L this weekend.
Yes.
But no, it was a great game, man. Halftime show, marching bands, that was hype. And so it was just all in all a great experience as always watching the game. And like you said, being on ABC didn't hurt.
And let me just add to that, Danny. Daniel Richardson, 22 for 30 for 286 yards, 3 touchdowns. As you mentioned, Jamari Gassett, 8 receptions for 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. I give kudos again to the rushing attack of Norfolk State. Kavon King, 14 carries for 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. Was straight bulldozing his way into the end zone against us. But we made those halftime adjustments. Coach Cosey talked about the adjustments they made and where they displayed more so sound defense and everything. So We pulled it out, Danny. We pulled it out. And now on to a little bit about Major League Baseball, where Brewers keep doing it, man. Brewers are trekking upwards, and they have a tough series against the Giants. They did take an L yesterday against the Giants, 5-4. We'll see what happens tonight, but man, the Brewers, they got something brewing. What say you, Danny, about Major League Baseball and Brewers?
Yeah, you just got to watch now. The Cubs starting to win a little bit here. They won 7 of their last 10, 7-3 over the last 10, I should say, and they're only 8.5 back. So we have all of September. So this is where we need the Brewers to hang on and make sure they're trying to get 2 of 3 in these series. Make sure they're keeping their position. So they're still, trailing the Phillies and Dodgers, but they're right there. But the Diamondbacks are getting hot. So it's about positioning. So first you got to take care of division, but then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Overall National League perspective, this is where positioning is key. So you don't want to fall back. All this work you've done to fall apart. So winning, you got to win series. And that should be the objective going through September to get to the playoff run. You just don't want to fall apart, put it like that.
Yeah, agreed there. I think, like you said, man, Brewers 8.5 games ahead here. We've got divisional rivals, man. We have Cincinnati coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We have St. Louis coming up, back to back. Those are four game. Well, the 4-game series against Cincinnati at Cincinnati. 3-game series against St. Louis and Milwaukee. And then after that, you have Colorado, San Francisco, Arizona, Philadelphia, Arizona again, Pittsburgh, and New York Mets.
That stretch, Jason, where they got the Diamondbacks, Phillies, Diamondbacks, we'll know if they make the playoffs.
We don't know for sure.
Because those are huge, because Arizona's right there from a positioning perspective, like I said. And Phillies, are the Phillies.
Yeah.
You gotta pull out through, those games right there, man. You gotta be
I'm a little nervous about that Arizona, Philly, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 teams, 3 series, I'm a little nervous.
And you end with the Mets, who's also battling for a playoff spot.
Oh, this is gonna be
a crazy September.
This is gonna be nasty, man. I will tell you this. I am so happy that the schedulers at Major League Baseball didn't schedule the doggone Cubs at the end of this. The reason being is because I understand there's obviously the rivalry, but to have it every year, I mean, where you end, let's end with some other teams. Let's kind of mix it up a little bit. So I like the mix up here.
Yep.
On the scheduling last, it's just different, and not to say that we're in any way are we scared of the Chicago Cubs. I just wanted to see just a different matchup towards the end of the season. And we got it. And this is going to be very, very interesting moving forward, Danny. And now on to some news here from none other than Anthony Edwards. He said some stuff with regards to the skill of players back in the day. He indicated something I'm paraphrasing his quote here, but he indicated that the only player that had skill was Jordan back then. And Stephen A. Smith asked that question to none other than Magic Johnson. And Magic said he doesn't basically respond to people who haven't won a championship. He said he don't even know if he won a championship in high school. He sure didn't win a championship in college. So I don't address anyone who hasn't won a championship. Now, that right there was some clapback. You're not on my level, Anthony Edwards. You haven't even won a championship in high school. Another thing that Anthony Edwards did mention at the start of his quote was he hadn't watched anybody. He hadn't watched basketball back then. And I just say you have this thing in your hand called a smart phone with the ability for you to watch highlights on YouTube, on the internet, whatever. You have the ability to watch highlights, watch the games from back in the day. And you would have easily have seen Magic, Bird, Isaiah Thomas, Kevin McHale,
Kareem,
Robert Parrish, Michael Cooper, Kareem,
Dr. J.
Dr. J. I mean, come on, we didn't have any skill. Are you kidding me? And I just named champions. I just rolled off some champions. Wilt Chamberlain,
Oscar Robertson.
Oscar Robertson. Come on, man. You kidding me? Didn't have any skill.
The list goes on and on, man.
The list goes on and on, man. So, and Kevin Garnett responded to this. I mean, in terms of from a player's point of view, what he experienced and what he has seen, and this really to combat what Anthony Edwards indicated. I think he was not educated enough to comment because the players that we have seen, Danny, growing up, we emulated. And what Kevin Garnett indicated was the lack of a mid-range jumper in today's game. And that's why Shea has come up in the MVP ranks because he has a mid-range jumper. Back in the day, it was a plethora of people who had a mid-range jumper. That was a standard.
Yep.
You know, so what say you, Daddy, about Anthony Edwards and his comment here?
Kevin Garnett also alluded to, man, the defense, right? And we've talked about this in the past. Today's game is up and down, and back when we played, you were allowed to do certain things. You could body up on people, hand check. KG also made the comparison, which we actually talked about, was what you saw in the Olympics was a representation of what ball was back in the 80s, you know, early 90s and things before the NBA said, no, man, we can't be having these 78 to 88 games. We need higher scoring to get, you know, generate more interest from a fan perspective. Yeah, you're going to rub people the wrong way, man, because a lot of the people that, you know, blazed the trail for you to be at this position, that's offensive. And if you look at Tim Duncan, I'm talking more 90s, 2000, just the way to use the backboard. Like, I don't see that. You rarely see that in the game.
At all.
Like back in the day, that was a part of your repertoire.
That was real repertoire. I mean, yeah.
You had to know how to use that backboard, except in the rain.
Yeah.
If you're outside in the rain, don't go backboard because that junk gonna slide right off. KG also made the comment about toughness as far as people sitting out games. Right? For those of you who did not see that, if you need, check out KG's interview. I think it's with Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce, I think, is the background, at least from what I saw, the clips. Check it out because he just talks, it's just the passion behind what he's talking about from growing up the way we grew up and how you play ball and the way it is today. Yeah, Anthony Edwards opened a can of worms here, and I hope he brings it this year because a lot of people are going to be on him. Because I think he was in the good graces of everybody, but when you make statements kind of out of pocket, that kind of, you know, some people start side-eyeing you for whatever reason.
And I would say this too. I think this, I'm hoping for his sake, if he wants to get better, I think this is an opportunity for him to look at tape, look at games of those who were in the same position that he's in.
Yep.
Dwayne Wade.
Yep.
Or, you know, players like that, just to pick up some pointers and everything. So we'll see.
And I think too, Jay, if you remember back in the playoffs, who were the comparisons? It was Anthony Edwards and Jordan. And maybe that's what influenced him making that statement, because he was more or less following what the statements were, you know, with him being compared to Jordan. So that could also play into this. And I think he has the game. You know, I'm a big Anthony Edwards fan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And maybe this may light a fire under him to take the T-Wolves to a championship now. He made this statement.
And now, Danny, on to the trading card scenario. Who we got?
So, Jason, tonight's trading card scenario is Aaron Judge's 2017 Topps rookie card for Shohei Ohtani's 2018 Topps rookie card. Couple quick bios. Aaron Judge was the 32nd overall pick by the New York Yankees in the 2013 MLB June amateur draft. He's been MVP, Rookie of the Year, 3-time Silver Slugger, 6-time All-Star, career 288 average, 308 home runs, 694 RBIs, and 1,001 hits. Shohei was the 2-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 4-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, career 278 average, 212 home runs, 531 RBIs, 831 hits on the offensive side. Jason, who do you want in your portfolio?
Man, I don't know. This is a hard one, Danny. This is one of the toughest ones that we have done.
Mm-hmm.
Can't lie. This is a tough one. On one hand, I would say this, or let me ask you this, Danny. What is one of the most coveted records in baseball?
61 home runs in a season.
Right. And so when you have someone like an Aaron Judge who not only has broken it, but also is in the running to break his own record, that says a lot. At the same token, with Shohei, to be a good player, not only at the bat, but to pitch, there hasn't been anything like that. We haven't seen anything like that in recent baseball history. My understanding is like Babe Ruth and those lights, they also pitched. We haven't seen this in our lifetime. This so happened that Shohei, he's obviously injured, couldn't pitch this year, but who's to say he wouldn't pitch next year or thereafter? So this is a rare baseball breed that we're witnessing. Mm-hmm. Shohei has global impact. And yes, baseball is a global sport, but Shohei has come from overseas. Both teams, both of them, they have not won a championship as of yet. But I will say there's a possibility that these teams can collide in the World Series. The New York Yankees right now are leading the American League by 1 game. The Dodgers are tied for the lead with the Philadelphia Phillies. They're tied in the National League. If these two teams meet in the World Series, that to me will be the tiebreaker. Because for me right now, it's a tie. But I can only select one. I'm still torn, Danny, but I'm going to have to. Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. I will say with Aaron Judge, I remember when we first started collecting cards, Danny, and most of our players, they had like at least a 300 batting average. Mm-hmm. And that was very prevalent in Major League Baseball. It's not like that nowadays. But with Aaron Judge right now, he's batting like close to 333 right now. Shohei Ohtani right now his batting average is like 284 or something like that. 294. I'm going to go with Aaron Judge rookie card because he has some great defensive highlights. He is threatening for the home run record again. He bats over 300, which is now a rarity. This is a tough one, but I'm going to go with Aaron Judge. Who you got?
I look at two things. One, from the Judge perspective, he's a Yankee, and he's a part of that lineage of power hitters from the Yankees perspective, Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig. and he's a well-known player. And at this point in time, there's nothing to say he hasn't been doing anything out of the ordinary that we've seen in the past from other baseball players. But then you look at Shohei, and Shohei also is a 40-40, possibly 50-50 with home runs and stolen bases. And he's a pitcher, which, like you mentioned, he's injured this year from a pitching perspective with the UCL. With Shohei being global and what he brings to the game, and offensively and pitching wise, if he can get his pitching back the way it was before this injury, and the Dodgers, like you said, they got to get that championship to cement him. But I think in my portfolio, I'm going to go with Shohei. It's very tough, man, because Aaron Judge is threatening for the Triple Crown. I know Bobby Witt Jr. is pretty much, seems like he has it on lock, but there's a lot to like on both of them. It's not one of those where he's like, I don't know about this. Either one I could go with, but I'm going to go with Shohei just from the 40-40, 50-50 pitching and how he's impacted the game in that manner.
Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at @back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.